Okay, good morning and welcome to my hobby table for an investigation video of this Brat 28 engine that I've been having some issues with. And as those of you that have been following this little series on this engine know that I very clearly stated in all of the videos that the engine was in perfect condition and I could find nothing wrong with it. So the other day, when I had a few extra minutes, I took it apart. I have not wiped it down. I have not done anything to it, cleaned it or anything. These parts are as you see as they came out. I might have actually wiped some of the oil off, but there was... So, I mean, but this is the engine. And I'm going to go through the parts, you know, here and show and tell the best I can. Because there's all kinds of theories out here. People saying this and that and whatever. It's not damaged. So here's the crankcase and connecting in the crankshaft, which can easily come out. So the other things I mentioned in that video is one of the first things I did when I got this engine was I disassembled it and replaced it with all new Boca bearings. So it's got brand new bearings in it. And the crankshaft just pops right out. I mean, that's how it is. So there is no bent crankshaft. So people have been speculating, well, maybe the crankshaft is bent. Well, if the crankshaft was bent, and I don't have a run out gauge or anything to put it on, if the crankshaft was bent during the runs, it would have had excessive amount of vibration. Enough vibration that you would have seen it. Have you ever actually run an engine with a bent crank? Trust me, you know when the crank is bent, even slightly. You would also see a considerable wobble in the prop as it's running. And none of that was noted at all. So I don't have a run out gauge, but I can categorically tell you that my eyes and the way this rotates in here, there is absolutely nothing wrong with this crankshaft. Here's the head. The other thing I was thinking was, well, maybe it doesn't have any head shims, or maybe they're missing or they came out. But I was just starting to pull one of these things up with this T-pin, and I clearly see the presence of a head shim here. How many are there? I don't know. But there are shims there, at least one. So here's our head. No evidence of any kind of damage whatsoever. Here's our sleeve. Now this is an aluminum AAC sleeve, and that head fits right on the sleeve just as it should, so it's not out of round or anything like that. It's a nice tight fit, which it should be, especially if it's kind of dry like this. Now here's the thing, here's the piston and connecting rod. Connecting rod's not damaged, it's not bent. Now this is the type of piston that has a cutout here, and this side is flat. So if I take this crankshaft out here, I can demonstrate how I couldn't have even had this reversed, because if you look here, the way this fits on here, that cutout version is supposed to be cut out like that so that as the engine rotates, the counterweight does not contact the skirt of the piston. So if this were put on wrong, you'd have catastrophic damage to the bottom of the piston right away, and you'd know that right away because it probably wouldn't even turn over. And if you were able to get it to turn over, it would just crash that and just damage that piston. So the piston is not damaged. The connecting rod is not bent at all. And this is what the top of the piston looks like. Now you can see if this carbon exhaust here was on here before I got it, or when I got the engine. So that's not just what I've put on there. So, and an AAC is just like an ABC engine where the top of the sleeve is tapered at the top, and it really needs to be warm to be broken in properly. Because if you don't break an AAC or an ABC engine in properly and you run them too rich, you're going to screw up the fitment. of the sleeve to the piston. So when I go to try and shove this in here, I'm only getting it in that far before it really starts to get compression. Now I could push it further, but I don't want to do that. And it's so, you know, there's not an issue. I don't see that there's an issue there at all. I mean, there's no damage to this piston. There's no damage to the rod. I mean, everything is as it should be. So I don't know what else to tell you. Now this is one of those composite back covers, I guess. But even here, you don't see any excessive swirling marks. I think if it was contacting this, you'd have some excessive, you'd still be able to see some kind of marking on this cover plate, I think. Because on metal ones you can certainly see it. Why wouldn't you be able to see it on a plastic one? So I mean, it looks brand new. I don't see any issues here with this engine whatsoever. Of course, here the exhaust, the carb has nothing to do with anything. Only thing that was wrong with this was it was missing the ratcheting clicker. So I've got the fuel tubing trick done on here, and this carb was not leaking. However, the stock OS carb that I had on it before I put the fuel tubing trick on there was actually leaking pretty heavily there. And I've seen in older OS manuals from that time period, they say cut a piece of silicone tubing and put it on there. So they knew in the early days, well, I'm talking 70s, that their high-speed needles leaked, because they specifically said, that's where I learned the fuel tubing trick from, was from OS instructions, because it said to do that. So I mean, even they knew that their high-speed needles leaked. So I mean, there you go. That's our investigation with this Brat engine. There's not a darn thing wrong with it. I don't know what there's nothing that I can see that's wrong with it, given the tools I've got. I am pretty damn confident there's not a bend in this crankshaft. I am pretty damn confident, because it just rotates so smoothly through here. I mean, I just don't see. There's no evidence of a crash. Nothing. The crankshaft, the tip of the crankshaft doesn't look like it's ever hit anything. There's no evidence of a crash on the crankcase itself anywhere. You would see evidence. If this had been in a crash, there would be evidence of it somewhere. And when it came to me, it wasn't filled with dirt. It didn't have evidence of scuffing or anything on it, but it had evidence of running. It wasn't super clean like this. It had evidence of being run, but not being in a crash. So I don't know what to tell y'all. That's as far as I'm going to go with this engine. The only question I have for myself is, do I just take these bearings out, since they're brand new, and reinstall the old bearings that came in it? And I'll have a set of Boca bearings that have like 3 runs on them for this size engine that I can keep for something else. So that's probably what I'm going to do now. I'm probably just going to go ahead and pop these bearings out, put the old ones back in, put this thing all back together, and it'll just be a nice little display engine. So that ends this. There is no more discussion about this Brat 28 engine. That ends it right here.